Manny called after his wife, but she was in the truck already. He turned to his father, his heart nearly breaking. "You had no right to treat her like that," he reprimanded him. "She is my Fra, my wife, and I love her and our Bubbly. Don't make me choose between you and them, because I'll choose them." "Manny, wait!" his mother called after him. He paused, but even he knew it was too late. His father put a hand on her arm to stop her. "Let him go. He is a man now, and he's made his decision. He turned his back on his religion and the community. You let him go." Manny rushed back to his mother's side and pulled her into a brief hug, kissing her cheek. "I love you, Mom." He hated to leave her, hated to see her cry, but he was a grown man with a family of his own. The Bible instructed him to leave his mother and his father and cling to his wife, and that was what he intended to do, literally, if need be. He returned to the truck and pulled his sobbing wife into his arms to quiet her, his gaze following his parents as they walked into the house without looking back. It put a lump in his throat that his own father would turn his back on him. It had been one of the reasons he'd left in the first place. After his older brother Milo was trampled to death by the plow horse, their lives had never been the same. His father had blamed him for the accident, and he'd struggled with his own guilt over it. Milo had stepped in and pushed him out of the way, only to be trampled himself. He had just returned from his Rumspringa. His father had always called him an irresponsible daydreamer. Farm life wasn't for him. He'd always wanted to be a furniture maker. But his father was a farmer, and every generation before him. It was too much for him to live down. Milo had been closer to his father because of his skills as a farmer and his eagerness to learn their father's trade. He'd always had their father's approval, and Manny had not. He would always be grateful to his brother for pushing him out of the way, but it had left an empty spot in his heart, and his shoulders weighed down with guilt that it should have been he who had perished. If he hadn't been in there alone, brooding over an argument with his father instead of waiting for Milo to help him, it would have never happened. They'd been warned too often to handle the animal together, since the horse had a tendency to buck when he was being harnessed. Manny would give almost anything if he could change the outcome of that day. He'd spent countless hours reliving that day in his memory, but no amount of acceptance would quiet his tormenting thoughts. He'd simply learned to cope with the guilt as it lessened each day. Seeing the coldness in his father's eyes just now had not helped him one bit. His mother's eyes had been filled with pain when she looked upon him. Though she'd missed him, she missed Milo more because she could never have him back again. Manny was her only living son, but now he was dead to her as well. His father had rejected him for the both of them, and poured insults for his wife and child into the old wounds that would likely never heal. "I'm sorry I brought you here only so you could be rejected by them," he said to Willow. She sniffled and wiped her face with a tissue she'd taken from the cubby inside the armrest. "I tried not to get my hopes up," she sobbed, "but I wanted to have a new mom so badly. I miss my mom so much, and I thought God had blessed me with a new mom." He pulled her close. He would do everything he could to protect her and their child. "Let's go home," he said. "I don't know why I thought that bringing you here would make a difference with him. He's never going to forgive me for what happened to Milo, and my mother could never go against him. It's not our way, their way." "It wasn't your fault," she sobbed. "It was an accident what happened to your brother." Manny kissed her one more time, and then started the truck as he bent to look out the windshield at the oncoming storm. Lightning flashed and thunder rolled while he turned on the wipers to clean the windshield. He backed the truck out slowly, turning around in the driveway, a fierce wind blowing down a branch in front of his path. He swerved out of the way, his wife's grip on his arm and her squeal added to the flighty moment. His heart raced as he pressed on the gas, hoping to get out on the main road and out of the path of the storm. "Buckle your seatbelt," he warned her. She did as she was told, but she sent him a frantic look. "You too, Manny!" she cried. He looked in his rearview mirror as he turned onto the main road, his breath hitching when he noticed the funnel cloud behind them.